Hi everyone, can everyone hear me okay? All good? Thanks for the introduction. I'm Suriya and I kind of navigate between three roles, so I'm kind of like a 3-in-1 at the moment. So as mentioned, I'm currently a business support administrator at the University of Wolverhampton, and I'm also a public health consultant, and I work with Sandwell and West Birmingham NHS Trust. And on the side of that, I actually did launch my own social enterprise called UntappedVoicesProject, which I will tell you about in due course. So at the beginning of my journey, I sat my GCSEs and then I went on to study A-levels. So I studied biology, chemistry and psychology. And similar to a lot of stories, I actually wanted to study medicine at university, and that has always been a passion, and I feel like my amma and my appa, they kind of wanted me to go and be a doctor and go into the medical field. One of my cousins, he's also a doctor and he's just newly qualified. So I thought this was the path for me. So sadly, my A-levels didn't go that great. I got average grades, and I was very disappointed in myself. I was going through a hard time, and it really did not look well on me in terms of my A-level results and not being able to pursue my degree in medicine. So I decided as my backup option, I would actually go and study Biomedical Sciences and then do graduate entry medicine later on. Now, the turning point for me would be the second year of my degree course. So I was in that weird COVID stage or COVID era, and then I was doing some work experience at a GP and in a hospital, and I came to the realization that medicine is just not for me. And that was a really big point in my life where I was like, no, I need to say no to this. Like, I don't want this to be my reality. And then I thought about it long and hard, and I did tell my parents in the end that I was not going to be pursuing graduate entry medicine. So that was a big shock to them, to say the least. But then that got me thinking, like, what next? Because a lot of my identity was consumed into becoming a doctor and pursuing a medical degree, that I kind of did not think outside of the box as to what I would be doing next. And that's when I actually decided to get involved with TEDx Aston University. Have any of you heard about TED Talks by any chance? Yes, I see a few nods. So yeah, I was actually involved in the finance and partnerships element, and we hosted a great big conference event in September of 2021. And I managed to secure a sum of £9,000 to go towards the event, and in partnerships and in-kind donations. And I think going off the back of that, I actually applied to this experience as a joke. I actually didn't think I would be getting that, just because I did experience like imposter syndrome, so I didn't think I was good enough to actually take this on. To my surprise, I was actually quite competent at it, and I got on with it, and I actually did learn a lot of the technical stuff whilst I was in that position. And then following from that, I felt more good about myself, and I thought to myself, oh wow, I can do so much more than medicine. So I actually took up a job whilst I was at university. I kind of did 2 jobs. So I worked as a mental health support worker, and I also was a student outreach ambassador at Aston University. And I will say the combination of both 2 jobs was quite challenging for me, but at the same time it was quite rewarding, and that was the first time ever I've actually secured paid employment and actually did get up and go to work, all that fiasco. And as I was building my confidence, I was given the opportunity to work with Sandwell and Birmingham NHS Trust, as well as the West Midlands Violence Reduction Unit, to do some work on public health and around youth violence and reducing that. So I actually delivered a series of different workshops surrounding mental health and targeted interventions for young people. Following this, so I was at the 3rd year of my studies in Biomedical Sciences, and I quite enjoyed being in the West Midlands. I felt quite at home, so I was thinking I do need to secure a job after this, and I just went through the whole job process, and I had like a big Excel spreadsheet, and I would be applying to so many jobs, like a day in, day out, and eventually I did secure a position. So I was a community health and wellbeing officer at a disability charity, and I did this role for roughly a year, and part of it was delivering mental health sessions and doing community-based research. And I also had the opportunity to work with the World Economic Forum, and I worked alongside the Home Office and the Cabinet Office as well as part of the national government. And we did a session for young professionals around political lobbying, which was quite insightful. Following that, I did work in an arts charity for a bit, so I looked after the procurement, fundraising, and overall leadership of the small arts organisation. And I did that for around 7 months. And then now I transitioned into the public sector, which is the University of Wolverhampton, which is a higher educational facility in Wolverhampton in the West Midlands. And leading up to that, I was actually thinking of starting my own business and doing something on the side. And that's where Untapped Voices Project was born. So as mentioned earlier, Untapped Voices Project is a social enterprise around hidden disabilities, and I'm quite happy to be exploring the theme of intersectionality, and I'm quite passionate about disabilities in Tamil communities and really promoting advocacy and providing culturally sensitive support. At the moment, I am working on assistive technology, so that's softwares or different equipment someone with a hidden disability may want to use in their workplace or in day-to-day living. So that's it in a nutshell. If you come up to me later, I can tell you more about it. So some of the challenges I faced was actually during my time going from GCSEs, A-levels up to my degree, I actually had little confidence. I didn't believe in myself, and I did suffer from a lot of imposter syndrome. I kept telling myself, I can't do this, I'm not capable to do these things. And I will say a lot of socioeconomic barriers did get in the way. I wasn't very financially privileged to look at the different resources, or there was inconsistency in what was available to me. So I kind of had to go back and forth to find out the different educational resources. So for example, with my social enterprise, I did have to go back and forth in terms of registering my business and putting together a business plan. And I think a lot of the times, especially with young people, we always see a lot of people that, you know, we perceive they're much better at me in life. They have this job, they do this, where you may not be seeing the whole reality, and I think that's what I've come to terms with. In terms of getting into business administration, public health, or even being an entrepreneur, I would say they're pretty much, you can pretty much have transferable skills or have like different degree titles and kind of pick up work experience via local councils, or sometimes even national government advertise some positions, as well as local GPs or even some grassroots community groups or non-profits. And I think one thing I do want to shed a light on is apprenticeships and degree apprenticeships. And they are quite a novel phenomenon. It's recently introduced. So what degree apprenticeships are, as you basically learn on the job and you get to do a degree. And I think this really helps in terms of learning on the job and then gaining your qualifications and kind of those hard skills and soft skills at the same time. So recently I have been working with, in my day-to-day job, which is the business support officer at the University of Wolverhampton, I have been working on managing a pot of funding for some research, and we've had some industrial partners come in to speak about what they've been seeing in like university students and graduates. And one thing and one key element is the interpersonal skills. They really, they find that a lot of our generations or younger people, they really struggle in terms of communications or having those soft skills. So I think in terms of an advice for myself is really, whilst you are studying, and I do believe your studies are very important, I would also want you to acknowledge that doing extracurricular things can actually add to your kind of like your professional assets and your skills and talents. And another thing which I would advise to everyone is to look at the different pathways. University isn't for everyone, and success isn't linear. Sometimes you may not know what you want to do at 16, 17, 18, or even before, and that's perfectly okay. I can say I'm in a position where I am quite unsure or uncertain about my future, but I'm taking those proactive steps to figure myself out. In terms of the public sector, I will say there are many benefits. So now they've adopted a hybrid working style. So you work 3 days in the office and 2 days at home, which is which guarantees a level of flexibility. And there are many staff benefits as well as working hours and work available. And I guess another piece of advice I would tell all the young people here today is, if you cannot find an opportunity, so if you do get rejected by any organisation for work experience, internship, or whether it be just to have a chat, I would strongly encourage and advise you to create your own opportunities. So actually, I think someone recently introduced me to this phenomenon. It was one of my networks in terms of rejection is redirection, and actually taking a step further and actually making those opportunities yourself. And in that scenario, so I'm going to give you an example. If you're passionate about medical phenomenon or technologies, perhaps if you're also passionate about marketing, communications, you can actually start your own project or pilot project around starting a blog or a newspaper about medical communications, and perhaps you can expand on that and really foster a sense of community and bring together people from different walks of life, which I think it's quite interesting and it's quite powerful in itself. So don't ever think you are not good enough, because everyone has that unique talent and skill set. And another thing is that I would advise to the young people today is there's plenty of opportunities out there. What works for someone may not work for somebody else. So definitely think about your values when you're looking for a job. Think about what you want to achieve in life and how you can fit around your lifestyle commitments, because I think at the end of the day, you are more than just your job. And another thing I will say is, I really, really am passionate about my career. However, I will advise not making it your identity, and that you are more than just your career and your professional life, and to really value your different social networks, your community, and everyone around you. Thank you.